Hi guys, so today we're going to paint this traffic light in watercolor. So this piece was inspired by this photo I took on one of my morning walks. So moving on to the list of materials, of course you require watercolor paper. I usually use Fabriano or Boostros 300 GSM cold pressed watercolor paper. However, for this one I tried out Umbria 320 cold pressed watercolor paper and I didn't really like it very much. For the brushes, I just used two brushes for this painting. One was a number 12 round brush, and most of the work for the painting I did using a number 6 round brush. So the only thing I used the number 12 round brush for was just to give a light wash to make the basic background. I forgot to mention that I created this piece on an A5 sized sheet. So of course, if you want to make this piece on a larger sheet, say an A4 size, then of course you need to adjust your paint brushes accordingly. Have probably a larger variety of brushes there with you. But for an A5 size, these two brushes should work. So I like using masking tape to create this border around my painting. So that's optional for you guys. I personally really like it, so I used masking tape as well. So I used Windsor & Newton's watercolors for this one. The colors that you can see here are lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, sap green, viridian green, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, crimson red, burnt sienna, and black. So let's move on to the painting itself. First, of course, I created a basic pencil sketch of the traffic light. Over here, I've already marked some areas where the flowers are supposed to cover the traffic light. Once the sketch is ready, we apply a basic light flat wash. Here I've covered most of the paper with phthalo blue and we have a bit of yellow ochre and sap green at the bottom. One thing to note here is that we haven't applied this wash on our traffic light, and that's because the next step is to fill in our traffic light with the basic thin layer of lemon yellow. Later on in the process, I realized that maybe I should have used a lemon yellow instead of the phthalo blue in the flat wash, just to brighten things up a little bit. Phthalo blue worked as well, but I had to apply a glaze of lemon yellow later on. So here I've added lemon yellow to the traffic light and I've added a little bit of black to some places. Next, we have to create the illusion of flowers in the background. For this, we create small patches of different colors by dabbing them onto the phthalo blue part of the background. Here I've started dabbing some crimson red. You would want to make sure that you have an ample amount of water in your brush so that it's not too dry. This is because this is the initial layer and we want the different colors to blend in together a little, and the water will help it do just that. Here I've added more colors to the background. We have sap green here and a lilac color as well, which I have mixed by using ultramarine blue, crimson red and white. You can see that the colors are blending a little into each other. That is because we haven't used a dry brush, and we don't need to bother with the vibrancy of the color at this stage because we are going to be adding more layers. Here I've covered the entire phthalo blue part of the background with these patches. I've also added some viridian green. After the first layer was dry, I dabbed a second layer with the more saturated version of these colors, which basically means that I used a little less of the water and a little more of the pigment than in our first layer. I've also added more saturated versions of sap green and viridian green at the bottom of the background, and I've used burnt sienna to make the tree barks. Next, we've added cadmium yellow to the yellow parts of a traffic light. Here I've just added some lemon yellow to our greens to make them a little brighter. Here I've added some darker spots of the colors here and there, and you may also want to overlap the colors, maybe put some crimson red where there is primarily lilac and vice versa. Now we'll add more coats of black. Note that we've added an additional layer of black to some areas to give the indication of a darker shadow. Now we need to add more depth to the yellow part of a traffic light. I've done that by indicating shadows using a mix of yellow chrome and cadmium yellow. Okay, so here we almost have a final version. As you can see, I've made a lot of additions, so let's look at them one by one. So first up, I've tapped more saturated versions of our colors in the background. I've tried to keep the colors bordering our traffic light more dark and saturated to help the yellow pop up. I've also mixed a little bit of ultramarine blue with a burnt sienna to give a darker shade for our tree barks. I've also added viridian green mixed with some lemon yellow to the bottom part of the background just to make it a little bit darker. I've used dark grayish sort of lines to add more details to the traffic light. I've also used this to deepen the shadows under the traffic light and also between the two faces of the traffic light. Lastly, I've added some details to the background by using some black paints. We have the fence here and some wires at the top. Here I've just added my name in the small yellow box and created some more details using a white pen. These include adding some white lines to the wires and adding the name of, I'm guessing, the manufacturer at the top. And of course, we've removed the masking tape, so we've got this amazing border. And there you have it, our painting of a traffic light in full bloom. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and this is the first time I'm making a tutorial and I couldn't get a video recording of the entire process, so I took photos of the different stages of the painting. But I hope you guys enjoyed it and let me know your feedback in the comments. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. And thanks a lot for watching.